Got me in your sights, Myron? It's on. Om Namo Bhagavate Ramakrishnaya. Om. Salutations to Ramakrishna. The Bhagavad Gita, third chapter, Karma Yoga. We are on the 25th verse. This is the Lord is laying down the method of work. Sakta karmanya vidvangso yata kurvanti bharata kuryad vidvans tata saktas chikirshu loka sangraham. There are two types of people have been mentioned. One is the vidwan, the knower, one who knows, who is intelligent. One is a vidwan, one who is non-intelligent. The intelligent person does not get attached to what? Obviously work. One of the attachments is to work. And a non-intelligent, a vidwan, gets attached to work. So the two words I use, yata and tata. Just as, yata, tata, thus or hence. So to differentiate between the two, the first verse speaks about the unintelligent person and the method of the person's work. And the second line of the verse is the intelligent. So here the Lord Sri Krishna is addressing Arjuna as a scion of the Bharata dynasty, how would you say? So he's saying, O descendant or scion of the Bharata dynasty, as the unenlightened people work with attachment, so should the enlightened person also work without attachment. So when you are attached to work, what do? Well, you want to fatten yourself up. You want to work for yourself, principally. And there are many things that drive you. There are many motives that push you towards work. You're a workaholic, and all around you, your life is in a shambles, but you just can't give up that work. It has kind of taken hold of you. Work, attachment has taken hold of you. Attachment, your motives have taken hold of you and are impelling you day and night. When you need to rest, you're thinking of the work for the next day. You're planning. There is no rest. You keep on working like a slave. And the other is, so should an enlightened person work without attachment. And why should the enlightened person even work? Well, there is a motive, and the motive is presented by the Lord as Chikirshu Loka sangraha, for the prevention of people from going astray. Well, why should people, what happens is, when you're asked to be ethical or moral, we invariably fail in these ethical virtues and ethical behavior, we tend to go astray. We tend towards evil. We tend to hide things and put up a kind of a different mask to show the world. We are a mass of contradictions. So, why should an enlightened person work? Take, for instance, Swami Vivekananda. Did he have any personal gain? Oh, well, no. He had no personal. Then what? For him, the whole world had become a family. And the concept has been there in India for a very, very long time. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the whole world becomes a family, where the whole world becomes family. Yatra Vishwam Bhavati Ekanidam, where the whole universe becomes one place of rest, or a whole universe is a nest. You know, we generally try to kind of demean or downplay these great sons of light, great sons and daughters of light. Swami Vivekananda said they knew how human society would grow, and slowly and surely they kept on pressing those solutions to those problems at the root. So, society has been growing. And in order to keep everybody in line, or rather, I want to say it like, we are not like cattle. People have to be shown the goal of life. You ask people, what is the goal of life? Goal of life? Does life have a goal? Well, eat, drink, and sleep, and be merry. That's the goal of life. Really? That has been practiced for millions of years. Do you know that? And it has been found wanting. People have been doing it, and they are not getting any peace. So, it has been tested over thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years by millions and millions and millions of people. What's the goal of life? Eat, drink, and be merry. Ha! Try it out. You get your fingers burnt, and then you come crying to the Lord. Oh, I'm sorry. I should have listened to you. People have to be taught the goal of life. And that is doing the greatest good to humanity. And not only standing in a pulpit and preaching. Oh, you are doomed. You are doomed for eternal fire and brimstone, and you are going to die. You are going to live forever and ever happily in those hellish flames. Condemnation has never worked and will never work. People want to see examples. And these great sons and daughters of light, they really had that love for humanity in their hearts. They were the real parents of the human race. They led people out of darkness to the light, not by criticizing, not by condemning. So, people want to see an example of these teachings. Yes, so these people become these examples. So, here we have the Lord has been telling us in the previous verses that, see, if I don't work, the universe will die. I don't have anything to gain from it. I'm only here to give. And if I don't work, you guys will also not work. Well, the Lord is sitting down and doing nothing. Well, let us also sit down and do nothing. And then what happens is when you don't do nothing, you slowly become nothing. So you've got to be doing something. Keep on working. So this is how the Lord is saying, okay, I am the kind of the supreme example. There have been people who have known the self, who are enlightened. Take for instance the case of, let me mention Vivekananda, Buddha. Why did Buddha have to go about preaching and teaching people and loving people? He could have immersed himself day and night in the reality. Why did Ramakrishna also have to kind of go about meeting people, talking to them, teaching? He could have immersed himself. They had that great love for others. Why? Well, they could see the potential in us. We can't see our own potential, that's a different thing. But they could see how human life will flower, how humanity will prosper. And they kept on slowly applying their remedies to it. So here he says, like an unenlightened person works with an attachment. What's the attachment? When an enlightened person works, that is, I'm going to work and I'm going to get the results. Yeah. That's true. So this is the way the unenlightened person works. And you say, whose work is this? I did. It's mine. I did it. And when something bad happens, no, it wasn't me. It's the same thing. You have the sense of agency. You have the I. Oh, I've done it. Oh, I haven't done it. Yeah, that day. And you always are calculative. You're always kind of business-minded. You do something, well, it's not for free. I'm going to get something back. And you're always trying to find out ways and means to increase your wealth or status or name or fame or whatever. Everything is kind of directed towards these things. So an enlightened person works like this. And how should an unenlightened person works like that? How does an enlightened person work? Well, he or she will also work with great attachment to that work. But that enlightened person is not working for the results of work. He doesn't bother. And not with the sense of, I am doing this. You see, we have a responsibility, not only to society, social responsibility. We have the responsibility towards all life, towards the universe. And who can do that? Only those who have risen to those heights, whose minds have become so noble, they will work for the universe. And we do see many people, they do things, they struggle, and they work themselves out for others. And people who are unenlightened, it never gets into their head, why should these guys bother? But somewhere deep down, they do acknowledge that nobility. This is the difference. So here he's saying, O descendant of the Bharata dynasty, as the unenlightened people act with attachment to work, so should the enlightened persons act without attachment, only being desirous of the prevention of people from going astray. It's like for the welfare of the world. That will be the Chikirshu Loka sangraha. Sangraha is welfare, do good. Loka is the world. Chikirshu is the desire to do good to the world. Simple as that. That will be the motive power, without being unduly thinking about the results of work. Oh, Swami Vivekananda says the highest people cannot work. They may go into a cave in the deep mountains, shut the door of the cave with a boulder probably, and think 5 true thoughts. And these thoughts will penetrate the walls of the cave, emerge out, travel oceans, and will enter deep into the hearts of human beings and raise them up. Such is their power. And why should these people do? They had that, like I said, tremendous compassion, because they saw the potential in human beings and they want to awaken that potential, awaken that human being. And what's the goal of life? Once again, to come back, the goal of life is to know the reality. How long are you going to live in an unreal world, an unreal life with unreal desires? We'll have to break out. We have to come out. And one day, today or tomorrow or day after, that sleeping soul will awaken and will want to emerge out into freedom. Then you know you have stepped on the path to the goal of life, to know the reality. As Sri Ramakrishna says, the goal of human life is to see God. He was saying, can God be seen? And this was a question Swami Vivekananda went to ask Sri Ramakrishna. Saying, yes, God can be seen. I see Him. I see God more intensely than I see this world. Meaning that reality is a direct perception, and this world is a kind of a shadow. For us, the world is so real. And the reality has become the shadow, as it were. We've got to reverse things. We think what we do is a standard for everybody to follow. Well, nobody even bothers about my existence, but yet I feel, well. And if I can get 10 people or 20 people, 100 people to my view, it's made my day. But we are all stumbling in this darkness. We are all stumbling and falling in this darkness, this unreality. These enlightened people, they see everything as it is. We don't see things as it is. We've put filters over our minds, and we see the world through these filters. And we've created our own world. So this is the word used also to address Arjuna as Bharata. Bharata is the name, the ancient name, or now the modern name also of India is actually Bharata. Bharata. What does Bharata mean? Bha is light. Rata is those who are devoted in cultivating knowledge. That's the meaning of Bharata. Well, when you're talking about a long tradition of people, yes, the Bharata, the Mahabharata, there was an ancient king called Bharata from the tribe of the Bharatas. And those who descended from them, they were all the Bharatas. In trying to tell Arjuna, you are the scion of this great tradition, of the Bharata tradition. Have you forgotten this? You're behaving like sloppy, like a child. Why don't you Become aware of that great dignity, that great responsibility that has come upon you. It's a very ancient lineage that has ruled India for thousands and thousands of years. The first references we get is in the Rig Veda, in the 18th book, where 10 kings, it's the battle of the 10 kings, Dasharagnya, where they try to, it's a confederacy, and they fight against one king, the ancient Bharata king, Sudasa. And this Sudasa wins. And after he has conquered them, the enemies or the defeated kings, they disperse all over the place. So this battle did take place and was mentioned in one of the oldest books of humanity called Rig Veda. So the advice given to the unenlightened and the enlightened is this. The next verse proceeds in elaborating a little of the same topic. Na buddhi bhedam janayed ajnanam karma sanginam joshayet sarva karmani vidvan yukta samacharan. The enlightened person should not create or should not upset the beliefs of the ignorant. Beliefs? He should not kind of disturb the understanding of the unenlightened, of the ignorant. Because generally what happens is, we, in order to show our superiority, first we will do is try to cut them down to size, to people. Or be very dismissive about it. Here the warning is given by an enlightened person should not go about upsetting people's understandings. We all have our own understanding of reality, according to the stage of life, according to your culture, to your education, to your family, and so many things. So here he's saying, don't upset people by demolishing things, demolishing their ideas and beliefs and this and wait. There are two types of people. One is those who are kind of destructive, and the others who are creative, the constructive. So it's better to be on the constructive side than to be a destructive person. Like you want me to break this small table, it's very easy. I'll take it and slam it down. Now you ask me to build another one, well, it's going to take time. Yeah, that is what exactly is the point. To destroy things is very easy. To demolish the arguments, to determine the person is lower than me is very easy. Be dismissive. But a constructive person has got a different kind of mental makeup. So here the Lord teaches, the enlightened person should not create or upset the disturbance in the minds of the ignorant. Why? Who are attached to work, of course. Those who are now attached to work and they're doing work and like you say, when an ass carries a load of sandalwood, that ass knows the weight of that sandalwood, does not know how precious that sandalwood is. They say, yata kharascha chandana bharavayi bharasaveta natu chandanasya. So then he's saying, the advice given to such people, the enlightened people, while working, he or she should remain diligent, yukta, controlled. He should make the others perform work by his own example. You see, what happens is, let me explain it like this. we all have gone to school. What does the teacher do? The teacher comes down to the level of the student. And that's what is a perfect teacher. And why should a teacher come down to the level of the student? In order to raise that student up. And that is exactly what this verse is trying to tell. An enlightened person should not go, if a teacher comes in a kindergarten class and saying, "Oh, do you know how much you know? You know nothing. You're useless. You're wasting my time. I have to spend my life with you all." Huh. You know what will happen to the children? Yeah, we know what will happen to the children. But the teacher who comes down to the level of the student, loves them, and slowly lifts them, see the transformation in them? In a couple of months, in a couple of years, wow! There's a child prodigy, genius. Hey. That is exactly what has been advised to a person, an enlightened person. Don't go about smashing things up. Don't go on being destructive. Be constructive. And how do you do? When you have to mold minds, you've got to do it slowly. Don't go in. Well, this guy is with these false beliefs and false wrong ideas, all this like, what do? Kill them off. Wait. We won't be able to straighten them out. So do away with them. And that has been the world. Do away with those guys who are not like us. Do away with people who don't look like us. Do away with people who are not as rich or famous or powerful as us. And the result has been strife, and more strife in this world. So here the enlightened person should not create a disturbance in the minds of the ignorant who are attached to work. You don't say, this kind of, don't do all this work. Why? It's a useless thing. No, it's not a useless thing. But orient them in the right direction. Keep on working with a slight kind of tweaking that's needed. Tweak, that person will keep on working. And this is what the Lord is telling us also to do. Don't go on kind of trying to show how intelligent you are, how rich you are, how powerful you are. Well, nobody is actually really interested in. When that rich and intelligent, powerful person comes and helps others, there's a whole new dimension to that person's life and activity. Oh, really? That's true. So, he's saying use your intelligence, your enlightenment in a constructive way. That's what. So, na buddhi bhedam janayet. One, the enlightened person should not create a disturbance in the beliefs of the ignorant who are attached to work. So, joshayet, while the person himself working, at the same time is diligent. That person will not be sloppy in his or her work. No, diligent. If you do something with your mind somewhere and your heart somewhere and your hand somewhere and your leg somewhere, that's not work. So you've got to be focused. And this is what he's saying. They want to see focus. You see, most of us, we dissipate all our energies because we are not focused. And if you can be focused, even for 5 minutes, even for 10 minutes, remain focused, you're going to have tremendous benefits. You see, all over the world, we have people complaining, from the rich to the poor and the young and the old. I'm so busy, I don't have time. This is the one mantra that everybody is repeating everywhere. We don't have time. We don't have time. And then at the end of the day, try to figure out what this so busy person has done and the net result is hardly anything. The result should have been commensurate or equal to the amount of busybody that you are. You get this result and you have been busy all this day, all the whole day. Why? Because we have not been focused. The moment we can focus ourselves, the body and the mind and the senses become trained. And they become concentrated, and you can do more work in less time. So the next time you say, I'm so busy, be careful. I'm going to read it as your mind is restless, you're not focused. So here the idea is saying, while the person himself or herself remaining focused or diligent should make others do all their duties. He or she should come down to the level of the student, love them, obviously, and then raise them up. And once you can do that, you will see the sense of fulfillment that comes into it. It's a tremendous sense of fulfillment and happiness and peace and love and joy. When you don't have to bother about all the calculations. If you have helped one person in one life, Sri Ramakrishna was told towards the end, because he had a serious illness, a fatal illness. The doctors told me, don't talk so much. That aggravates your sore inside. He never listened to them all the time. Whenever a sincere seeker did come, he kept on talking to them. The same thing happened with Holy Mother. The same thing happened with Swami Vivekananda. They said, if I can help even one person, that is a great thing. Even one person. The same thing happened with the Lord Buddha. He is now ready to give up his body in this Mahaparinirvana. And all his disciples are now weeping and crying. And why are you crying? And then one seeker of truth comes and asks him a question. They try to shoo him away, the disciples. Hey, get out. The Tathagata, the Buddha, is now busy. He's going to give up his body. Say, no. Say, a minute. There, even at the last moment of his earthly life, you see these people trying to do good to others, in trying to correct our vision of the reality. So this is how. Don't kind of upset the whole thing, like a bull in a china shop, You know what happens when a bull enters a china shop? In India, we see bulls entering some shops, Not in China, I have not seen it, but as they are kind of pacified, they are given some food and told to push out, and they quietly go out. Oh, that's great fun. If a bull gets into a china shop, it's going to destroy everything. You're not going to have any china in that shop. A restless mind is something like this. So, this kind of restlessness can be eradicated to a great extent by becoming focused. And if you have somebody who's an exemplar, a person who is going to help you on every step of the way, won't you take that help? That's what. So this person, the enlightened person, has got great love and compassion towards us, and he does not kind of come and start being dismissive or critical. He will slowly, or he or she will slowly try to correct our vision, try to fix our focus. And then when we follow these things, Our lives become blessed. This is what. You know, I could go on and on and on. You know, each word is kind of has got so tremendous meaning. So here, uh, before we can proceed to the next verse, 27, if doing good to the world by these such people is the kind of the motive for them to engage in this world and work like us and yet not be of the world, why don't these enlightened persons, if they are enlightened, why can't they enlighten others? Teach them straight the knowledge of the reality. Touch them and there. Now you have the knowledge of reality. Go. Now there it is. Yeah. You could have got that. Hell, yeah, that's ideal. That's ideal, yeah. Why isn't knowledge or devotion presented as an aid to do good to the world or to make the world a better place? Knowledge. It cannot be. It's called jnana abhyasa, practice of knowledge. Abhyasa is knowledge. Jnana abhyasa. Later on we will come down, when you come down to all these chapters, the 13 chapters and 18 chapters, you'll talk about jnana abhyasa, the practice of knowledge. You have to attain knowledge, but there are some practices that we need to put into place. So that is called a jnana abhyasa, the practice of knowledge. Even Sri Ramakrishna says, Abhyasa Yoga. The Gita also says, the yoga of practice. Oh, we have heard that there are 4 yogas. No, there are 18 yogas. Each chapter is a yoga. It's karma yoga. So there is something called a practice to attain the state of knowledge. And what is practice? This practice can only take place in a mind that is focused, that is clear, translucent. And that can come only through work, unselfish work. So it's called a chitta shuddhi. When you work with the idea that I'm dedicating all this, the results of my work, to God or to humanity. Oh, I'm doing these things for the world. Your mind becomes pure. And in that pure mind, you start the practice of knowledge. You practice knowledge. And then you attain knowledge. People think, we'll sit down quietly and then knowledge will flash. Well, it won't flash like that. Sri Ramakrishna gives the example, if you have a matchstick that's damp, you might strike it hundreds of times. What you will do is only waste matchsticks. You better have some dry matchsticks, and then you strike it, and then it bursts into flame. So mind that's wet with all selfishness and ego and the hundreds of things that are going on in our, that mind has to be purified. So the path is through karma yoga. And this is the reason why the Lord is presenting this karma yoga immediately after the jnana yoga, the second chapter. He's set the ideal. This is what the Atman is. And this is now how you attain it. This is the chapter for the attainment. So, yes, knowledge is being presented as the solution to all life's problems and to know the reality, but it has to go through the path of karma. That is why the constant insistence. So this person comes down, he or she has been a sage meditating in the Himalayas for years and years, and that becomes transformed. When Moses because saw the Lord and became transformed. He had to come down the mountain. He could have stayed out there in the mountain. What do I have to do now? Take it easy. I've seen the Lord. These guys, they are like, why should I bother? He did come down. He brought that knowledge down. Why? So that it can help others. And this is the, you can say, shining example in the lives of all the great teachers. They have come down to a level and they have slowly worked for us, shown us the method of work in order to raise us. So this has been the spiritual history of humanity. There are many forces that are disintegrating us. These people come and integrate us, unify us, direct us into a channel, direct energies into a channel. Then again we forget, and then again another teacher comes and again lifts us up. So this has been the spiritual history of humanity over and over and over eons. These great children of light will always be there on this earth amidst humanity in order to lead humanity up. The next verse is 27. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasah ahankara vimudatma karta aham iti manyate. Yeah. This is a tremendous verse. Yeah. You know what happens? When you know what your weakness is, then if you are able to face it, encounter it, grapple with it, then you can overcome it. This verse is doing exactly that. It's telling you exactly, this is the enemy here. Go. Enemy or weakness or whatever. And that becomes your greatest strength. Your weakness turns into your strength. Your greatest enemy becomes your greatest friend. So in telling you, the Lord at times, He'll tell you straight, this is your weakness. I remember long time back, I was sitting down with an old Swami, and I was asking him about samadhi, like you. And I still remember, suddenly, he was, very jovial and very loving and talking to me. And then, as I came with that idea of asking him, that monk, what samadhi is and what are the kind of steps leading to it and the inner dynamics of samadhi. And he was, suddenly his face hardened. He looked straight at me. And then, for a moment, I felt like there was a drill that was going inside me, boring inside me. I froze. And then, with all seriousness, he never spoke about samadhi. He told me, my weakness, this, you got to take care of this first. Forget that. And I was so kind of first flustered because somebody telling you about your own weakness, nobody likes to hear their own weakness. But then, as I sat, I was kind of sweating. Yeah, you don't believe. I was kind of sweating. Phew. Then I saw the wise counsel. Yeah, I have been neglecting certain things and trying to kind of hurdle over them. The hurdle has been too high, and I've been trying to clamber up somehow and failing instead of removing those obstacles. And I have been immensely benefited because of that advice. And that has been one of those great turning points in my life. At times when you meet somebody, you people tell you this is what you are. But then you see the wisdom behind it, and you act on it, and there. So here it is. While actions are being done in every way by the gunas of Prakriti, the qualities of nature, one who is of deluded mind thinks thus, I am the doer. Here it is. You have been thinking of yourself, I am the agent, I am the doer. This is the deed, and this is the result of that deed. Well, it's not correct. Some greater power was doing all that. Suppose you throw a seed in the ground. You sow a seed. And after some days or some months, you see a plant slowly springing from that tree. And after a few years, it becomes a tree. What did you do? Planted seed? Well, seeds can, they can pollinate themselves. Flowers can pollinate themselves and they can spread themselves. Even without you, you can have those trees. Nature has built up that tree. Nature is extremely powerful. Yes, it's extremely powerful. It is nature that is working. It is nature with its three qualities of sattva and rajas and tamas. And the permutations and combinations are actually working. In the state of, we can say, final dissolution, all these forces, the sattva, rajas and tamas, they are held in a kind of equilibrium, kind of a singularity. And when the time of creation comes, it disintegrates. The equilibrium is disturbed. If creation has begun from nature, whether you call it a Big Bang or the big expansion, there are so many things happening. Well, nature started the whole thing, and nature is powerful. You call it a Big Bang, and it's created all these stars and galaxies and Milky Ways and the billions and billions of galaxies, and the whole universe is going on. Mad kind of expansion. And here you say, oh, you see, I am doing all this. This is mine. Oh, who are you? Somewhere on earth, which is like just a kind of a small speck of dust, in some small speck of dust called a solar system, which has got a big sun, which is nothing but a bigger speck of dust, which is another speck of dust called a Milky Way, and you are thinking so great about your own self. I remember one Swami telling me, oh, see, it's like, you think you're so great, as if the sun rises from behind you every morning. Yeah, really? So what kind of expression is this? Nature is tremendously powerful. So this is what saying, while actions karma are being done in every way by the qualities of nature, by the gunas, by the forces of nature. One who is of deluded mind, deluded by egoism, says, I am the doer. This is mine, this is me. I will go, I will do. Try to look at now and then at this, at least pictures of this universe, pictures of this solar system and this huge galaxy called the Milky Way with its arms all over, flailing. Try to kind of visualize this in your mind. See how humbling it is. And that is what we are supposed to be doing. Humbled by nature. Not appropriating, this is mine and this has been my family's and this has been my father's and this has been my mother's and this has been my tribes and this and that and I will conquer this earth. Huge kings and great conquerors and emperors have come and gone. This earth is there as it is. We've been lying to ourselves all the time. We will conquer this whole world. Yes, great conquerors have come. And what happened? After some time, this is nature. This has always been nature. Nature has been the principal working force behind everything, from the smallest quark or atom or whatever you like to call, to the biggest, you can say, universes. And now science is saying there are multiverses. Yes, we hardly know anything of this universe. Anything. We don't know anything. And we are now appropriating all this work. I am doing this, me. This is simply egotism. It will not lead us anywhere. So here they're saying, Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasa. At every way, at all times. What is saying? Prakriti, that is pradhana, it's called pradhana or maya or avidya or jnana. That is working, that is constantly working. And that is the real work. But you must understand, nature is not kind of blindly working. Because the Shvetashvatra Upanishad says, Mayam tu prakritim vidyat, mayin tu maheshwara. Maya, know nature to be Maya. And the ruler of this Maya is a Lord. So here, mayin tu maheshwara. So the Maheshwara, the great Lord, is the ruler of Maya. So nature is not kind of blind. There's a consciousness behind nature, and that belongs to the Lord. So the Lord, with the limiting adjunct called nature, prakriti or maya, is working. Where do you come in? Thinking that I'm doing this work. So we'll stop here for now. We'll take a little of this 27th next Thursday, and then we'll proceed further. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu. Yeah.
So question. We can learn to be respectful. However, in some interpretations, some were unfortunately taught to be fearful.
No, there is no fear. Why should there be fear? There should be only love. Do you love the Lord? Yes. Why should you fear the Lord? That is the Judeo-Christian idea of a thundering God. He'll bash you up and throw you out there in that, to be condemned. No, there should be no fear. Only hope and love for God. Hope for your life and no fear.
I want to say thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Exactly.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.